The saying goes, never judge a book by its cover. Someone may look like they're living the dream, but in reality are living the exact opposite. This can be applied to the right winger from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, Bobby Ryan. In one whole night, his entire life would change. It would happen in a blink of an eye. But for Bobby Ryan, it would happen so fast he wouldn't even be awake to watch it unfold. Growing up, Bobby knew his parents didn't exactly get along. His father, Bob, was a very driven guy who would constantly push Bobby to do better. He believed the only way Bobby would make the NHL would be through him. His wife, Melody, would always be there for his son and always encouraged Bobby to keep going. Everyone in the neighborhood knew Bobby and knew his family. They all knew the many talents Bobby possessed, and they all agreed he could make it big. The Stevensons were very well known. However, on October 29, 1997, they would become more than just known. That night, after returning home from a Flyers-Blues game, Bob tucked Bobby into bed and let them go have some beers with the boys. However, once returning home, he would discover a message left by Melanie which rose questions. Bob had stuck a recorder to the phone before leaving and listened to the message left by his wife. After listening to it, he accused Melody of trying to buy drugs, and when she denied it, something in Bob snapped. He began to beat her and break down the door, alarming the neighbors, who eventually called the police. Bob was arrested that night. Melanie sent to the hospital. Little Bobby Stevenson fast asleep. Bob was charged with attempted murder, aggravated assault, and criminal restraint. Melanie stated she still loved Bob, even after returning from her 4-night stay in the hospital. The thoughts of jail time, public shame, and being separated from his wife and Bobby haunted Bob, who was later released on a $75,000 bail. However, a few weeks later, Bob would skip his bail and fly out to California, changing his identity to Shane Ryan. Ryan being Melody's maiden name. Melody would take Bobby and drive to California to reunite the family. Bob would start gambling to support the family, and any money gained would be put into helping Bobby's hockey career. However, when Bobby started playing on the LA Junior Kings, the other hockey parents were beginning to question his family's story, and in 2000, after his father slipped up and used his old credit card at a local Blockbusters, an older Bobby Ryan would watch his dad get taken away and sentenced to 5 years in jail. Bobby would start to feel empty inside and question whether he wanted to continue with hockey. However, after he continued playing, he'd soon face a tough decision. He was asked the name he'd use as his own. He chose the name Bobby Ryan, and it's stuck ever since. In 2003, after numerous scholarship offers, Bobby Ryan would take a different route and opted to play in Owen Sound of the OHL. There he would strive, scoring 22 goals as a 16-year-old. He would continue playing in Owen Sound, while at the same time finally getting to experience normal high school life. 2 years later, the Anaheim Mighty Ducks would place second in the draft lottery, and Ryan's dream would be realized.
The Mighty Ducks are very pleased to select from the Canadian Hockey League, the Owen Sound Attack, Bobby Ryan.
Bobby Ryan has a great moment for him after some tough times earlier on in his life.
The Ducks selected Ryan second overall in the 2005 draft following the Penguins' selection of Sidney Crosby, and to his surprise, both Melody and Bob were there to congratulate him. Bobby Ryan was now an NHL player and had things to prove. Ryan, who is now currently playing for the Ottawa Senators, has had a successful 12-year career thus far, boasting over 200 goals, 200 assists, and over 500 points. He was a part of an Ottawa Senators team that was one goal away from reaching the Stanley Cup final. Ryan, now 31, is still playing for the Senators. Although his name has died down a bit, he has still had a great career. He now has a wife and is making over $7 million for the next 5 seasons. Although some fans today often tend to forget about him, many people from California in the early 2000s will never forget him. They will always know his name. And back in New Jersey, they will know him too. Some not as Bobby Ryan, but as the young boy who would rollerblade around the development known as Bobby Stevenson.